Is Puka Lokwa going to be available?
I don't think so. No, I don't think he's. You know, we don't know for sure yet, but we'll know a little bit more when we get to San Antonio or to Fort Worth, rather, to see how he's doing.
What's his injury?
Well, he's just got a couple things he's working through. He's just been banged up.
And Tagovailoa had a toe. He had a toe and he had surgery, right? And Hammy's a knee. Hamilton, no way?
Yeah, Hamilton's got a knee. Devontae had a knee. Yeah.
Sonny, how much can winning a bowl game send you into next season with momentum, and does it change things at all?
Yeah, I've always thought it's a big deal. I mean, I think it does two things for you. I think, you know, I think it puts a positive spin on the season that you've had. I think it's always important to end with a win, and then as you said, I think it gives you a little momentum moving into next year. You know, it's funny what happens a lot of times during these bowl games is that. You know, you've got the older guys leaving, and the younger guys kind of get a sense of that, and you start to see some of the younger guys start to step up a little bit. And so it's a changing of the guard in some ways, and it's always an interesting dynamic that you sit back and you start to see it happen.
Are you seeing any of that already? Even
Yeah. No, we've seen
among the younger guys. Who are the guys that you see emerging as potential leaders next year?
Well, you know, I think guys like Vic and Were is certainly one. You know, Chris Brio, Demarie Drew, you know, Hardy, obviously. So you do kind of start to see those guys take a little bit bigger role, a little bit bigger leadership role. And it's like I said, it's always interesting to see that dynamic start to play out. You know, but what it does, I think, in some ways, going back to the question you asked, is that, you know, it does. That transition starts to take place, and it almost feels like the first game of the next season.
Well, and first game since you got your whole contract thing settled, I mean, it seems like it's a jumping off point at this point to something.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's always, I think it is something new. I mean, it's just something that you know, it's one of those steps you want to take as a program. You know, get to a bowl game, win the bowl game. You know, and so it's one of those things that you want to do. And for us, you know, as long as they've played football around here and as successful runs as they've had at times, I mean, they've only won like 10 bowl games, I think, in school history. And so it's, you know, when you sit down and you look at the history of the football program, I think it's a pretty substantial thing.
I mean, there's so much emphasis on getting to the bowl game and getting bowl eligible, especially since you guys went through that, you know, stretch where it just couldn't get right over the hump.
In the near miss the year before,
but
too.
Now that you're in it, you have to just be in it, I presume, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't get that sense from our guys at all. You know, I've coached on some of those teams in the past where, you know, there was a sense of, hey, we're here, and, you know, there was...
Just happy to be there?
Yeah, and I haven't gotten that sense. Now, we'll know a little bit more when we get to the bowl side, you know, and how we handle that, and the focus of our players, but I certainly haven't gotten that sense since we've been here.
And I also get the sense that they understand they're playing a team that will be a challenge.
Yeah, no, I think they do.
Just because it's an Air Force Academy team?
I think so. I think our guys have a lot of respect for that. You know, and when you put the film on, they execute so well, and we've talked a lot about their history, and I've talked a lot about what kind of character their players have, and I think that, you know, these guys understand how important that is as a team to have, you know, guys that work hard and are high character people, and how that can make you successful, and how you can, you know, overachieve as a result of those things. And so I think Air Force certainly has our respect in that regard.
Most of the teams they play, I presume, probably have more of the guys who got recruited by everybody.
Yeah. It's like I told these guys. I mean, it's not going to be the most impressive team physically, and not going to be the fastest team we play, but that's really doesn't have a whole lot to do with winning and losing. That's the easiest way to win and lose: be bigger and faster, or, you know, to win games, to be bigger and faster than the teams you play. But the biggest and fastest team doesn't always win, and
for them, that's their formula every year, right?
It is, and they're very good at it. And they understand their formula. They know how to work the formula. They've worked it for many, many years very successfully, and that's what makes them so good.
When I talked to James Looney a minute ago, and I asked him, you know, how important winning this game would be, and, you know, putting the final, you know, touches on this season, he said, you know, we didn't do as much as we wanted to do this year. Is there a little bit of that with your team?
Yeah, no, I get that sense a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think we feel like, you know, we had chances to do more than we did. You know, and I think that you have that feeling a little bit, and you start thinking, well, you know, how can I fix that feeling? You go win the bowl game, right. And that'll, you know, when you sit back at the end of the season, and you look at the year, you know, it will make you feel like you had more of a successful year. Whereas if you don't win the bowl game, and you're looking back going, well, we could have won this, should have won this, could have done this, and so, you know, it does put a positive spin on it.
Is it also for those guys who are coming back? Just
it's a big confidence. Yeah, I think it's a big confidence boost. I really do. I think it's again a sense of accomplishment. We've checked another box in terms of just, you know, steps we've taken as a program, and I think it propels us, you know, to hopefully bigger and brighter challenges ahead. You know?
When people on the outside look at your program and they assume that maybe you're going to lose your quarterback, you have a lot of senior receivers, things like that. I think people wonder if you guys are going to fall off the edge of the cliff, but you've sort of developed the program beyond all that at all positions, right?
Yeah.
I don't imagine you expect that to happen.
No, I don't think so. Now, you know, a lot of that's going to depend on how all the pieces fit together, and that's you know, that's the unknown as a football program. You know, how does it all fit, and you know, what kind of team do you end up having? But you know, we feel like, again, we're going to have more depth next year than we do this year, significantly more. You know, and we're going to be bigger, faster, stronger, you know, than we were. Now, again, we're going to be a little bit more inexperienced and a little bit more unproven, but sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And have you redshirted more of your freshmen than you've been able to?
Yeah, we've tried to. Yeah, we've tried to redshirt a lot of guys this year, particularly linemen. You know, offensive, defensive linemen. We want to become a program that's playing with 4th and 5th year guys instead of 1st and 2nd year guys.
Yeah, is that a sign that you're able to do that? As a sign that you're starting to mature a little bit? As a program?
I think it's a sign that we're headed in the right direction, because if you look at the teams that win on Saturdays across college football, you know, they're teams that have experience up front, and they're teams that you know, can win games in the trenches, and that's been something that, you know, we've gotten better at, but we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Last thing is, most of your guys have never played in a bowl. Do you think when they get there and they're part of the whole experience, even the lead up a couple of days, do you think they'll be energized by that? Or?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny. We called them up at the end of practice today, and we're sitting there. It's cold and pouring rain, and you know, there was a lot of energy. You know, our guys have had tremendous energy in these bowl preparation practices. You know, that's been really encouraging. I think I would look for us to have a lot of energy when we meet up in Fort Worth and start practicing, and hopefully that energy will carry over to the game.
It seems like they've been more crisp. Do you think that's just, hey, you got 2 or 3 more days off?
I think it's just fresh. Yeah, I think it goes to show, you know, how important it is to be fresh. You know, because at the end of the year, I mean, we were pretty beat up, and most people are. But we're still not physically, you know, where we need to be. We still don't have that strength across the board, you know, that can withstand a 12-game schedule in the Pac-12. You know, and you know, we're trying to develop that and trying to develop more depth, where we can play more guys and we can keep them fresh and they don't wear down as much physically. So
they're at about like they could do with a 10-game season at this point, but you're not quite where you are.
Yeah, and I think, and again, the schedule that we're going to play year in and year out, I mean, it takes us long. It really does, and especially the way our schedule is set up this year, where, you know, we were playing probably the top 5 teams on our schedule in a 6-week period. So that was tough.
And kind of on that note, again, it's looking forward. Next year's schedule, it looks like they're broken up a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, it's still backloaded, but not quite as concentrated on the back end.
Yeah. You probably had more time to look at the schedule next year than I have. I glanced at it, you know, but yeah, it does seem to me that it's you know, probably a better schedule from that standpoint, where the traditional powers are a little bit more spread out.
Kenny going to be back?
Yeah, Kenny's been practicing great. He was sick today. He's a little bit under the weather.
He did look a little bit under the weather.
But he's been practicing really well. I expect him to have a big game.
Have you had conversations with him about next year?
We've talked briefly. We haven't really gotten into it yet. I would anticipate us doing that at some point down in Fort Worth.
What's your sense of what he should or will do?
I don't know. I think it just depends on, it's like I told him, where he is and where he is in his life, and just what his goals and objectives are, and you know, they're all different for everybody, and so you know, we'll kind of see how it plays out.
We're going to save a spot for him if he wants to play here next year.
Yeah, we'll certainly have a scholarship for him if he wants to come back. Yeah.
Do you worry about this time of year when when everyone's kind of sitting in a dorm room with each other and everyone's getting sick? Does that worry you a little bit?
Yeah, it worries you a little bit. Yeah, and I think it'll be good for our guys to get a chance to get home. You know, you worry about guys traveling. They're going to be on a bunch of airplanes the next couple of days, but that's just unfortunately the nature of the beast, I guess.
All right. Thanks, Sonny.
Thank you.
See you in Dykes.